Development versus David McNulty.
Good morning, Your Honor. David Fantera standing in for Attorney Brittany Brownlick for the plaintiff.
Your name, sir?
I'm David McNulty.
Thank you. You have to take your hands out your pocket.
Hands out your pocket.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, where are we on this?
The balance that's owed on this case is $3,997. I contacted Ms. Brownlick received a call from Alicia at SOS on Friday, September 29th. I spoke to Kara, the supervisor at SOS, yesterday. They are committed to paying $3,000, but they're going to pay it. So it's not a matter of, oh, when they get to them, they'll pay it. They'll pay it, provided we resolve the other $997. Ms. Brown.
Okay. Go ahead.
I went to Ms. Brownlick and I made the suggestion that because they don't have much money, and if we don't get this resolved, they may pass him over and give the money to someone else. So what I suggested was waiving the $997 in exchange for him dismissing the counterclaim, which we believe is meritless anyway. So I prepared a conditional dismissal that says balance 3997, SOS to pay $3,000 by the end of October. Upon receipt of the $3,000, we'll waive the $997, and meaning that his balance going into November will be zero. And we asked that the counterclaim be dismissed. He wanted to talk to the court.
Sir.
I believe that the amount is in error because I owe $460 for I think it's July and August and September. And it can come anywhere near, my rent was around $800, originally advertised at $800. So that would have been $2,800, not $3,900. I have no idea where they got that, how they added that up. And I think that's an error.
Because you haven't made a payment since July. So we've added August, September, and October onto that balance.
$800 a month.
Right.
So how does that, $460 for July, and then $800 for 3 months only makes $2,800.
So my client has an accounting. I don't even know why we're talking about this because we're agreeing to zero his account out. I have an accounting that goes back to February. It has every charge, which his rent was $800 in February, $850 from March till now. It has late fees for every month from June till now. It has $30 in water bills every month. And then it applies all of his payments. It adds the court costs on of $217. It totals all the charges. And then you subtract the payments he's made. And in fact, they've given him $500 of rent credits. And the difference is $39.97. I'm more than happy to give this to him. But again, we're talking about doing this in a way that gets this done so that SOS does not give his money to somebody else. We can get this done and we're done. He doesn't owe us.
Sir, have you looked at that?
I have looked at it. I understand what they're talking about. Originally, in the first 6 months, I paid $800 and there was no additional water fee. And
okay, but sir,
and also it doesn't take any consideration into the fact that the electric was for the hallways is being billed in my name. As soon as I mentioned that, then all the other charges came up.
Okay, so what would you like me to do?
I'm interested. I'm going to have to move soon, and I have very little money. When I rented the apartment, I was on the street, and he needed to rent an apartment because he was leaving town. I believe he took advantage of me. I got an apartment that was not in livable condition.
Okay, so you want to have a trial? You want to have a trial on this?
I would rather have the matter settled, but they're not coming anywhere near. I would need a letter saying that I paid all my bills because already I've been refused public housing because of the proceedings.
Well, but this gets you there, doesn't it? I mean, the conditional order dismissal gets you there to where everything's paid.
Well, yeah, I would like to have it paid, yes.
Okay, so if it gets you there to where everything's paid so that you can get other housing and make the representation that all your bills are paid, why wouldn't we do what's being suggested here?
First of all, it doesn't take into consideration a number of things that were wrong with the apartment.
Okay,
Injustices
okay,
that have been
but
done.
it does.
What's that?
But it does. Because if they're ultimately waiving about $1,000, basically 1/4 of what they're claiming is owed, they seem to be taking that into account without including liability.
If for the first 6 months, everything was fine. He seemed to be very kind. Everything was working out. He gave me $500 off the rent because I had mentioned the cleaning and everything.
Okay, but sir, we're here now.
Yes.
So what do you want me to do?
I'm interested in, I believe I was unfairly treated from the very beginning.
Okay. So let's say that's true.
I'm interested in getting.
I'm not saying it is, but let's say that that's true. What do you want to come out of this?
I would like to get my deposit back, which I don't think that he will ever do.
That's not before the.
Yeah, I mean, but your security deposit is taken, that's separate and apart from what this action is. That's something different.
I need the money from the security deposit to get a new place, but because I'm giving him trouble, he'll.
Sir, if you want to have a trial on this, you can. But it seems to me that what's being proposed here is a way to have your account zeroed out going into November. Okay. They're waiving basically 1/4 of what they're claiming is owed. So that then and then you have a zero balance going into November.
I agree that.
Okay, but here's the problem. If the agreement's not made, and it's what Mr. Fantera was indicating, it may be that then you get passed over with the funding.
I understand that.
You get passed over with the funding, and let's say we have a trial on this. And let's say the judgment comes out, let's say even in your favor, where I say you only owe 50% of it. So you owe $2,000. Do you have the $2,000 to pay it?
No, I don't.
Then what would end up happening is they would be issuing, there'd be a judgment. Then ultimately they would file their order of eviction, and then you'd be put out on the street.
And also, Your Honor, there's a money judgment request in this case, so there would be a money judgment in that same amount.
Thank you, Mr.
I apologize.
I got it. And then you couldn't make the representation that you want to make to a future landlord that everything's paid in full because there's this judgment. So if that were the case, where does that get you? Plus, by the way, with that judgment, they then take your security deposit to pay off the judgment. So then you don't have that.
With this agreement, I can't get a security deposit. They'll agree to return the security deposit to me or part of it in advance?
Because you're not out of the apartment.
They had mentioned $3,900. And, I was saying that I can't understand how he can go back and charge me.
Sir, the 3,900, of which they're only claiming 3,000, they're trying to they found a way to have that paid. And I don't understand why you want to fight it. I'm trying to figure out what you're trying to get to.
What I'm saying is that I was grotesquely wronged by renting the apartment to me, and if I agree to this, it takes in no consideration at all of what the landlord has done to me.
It absolutely does.
What?
It absolutely does. Because it's taking into account $997.
I would be if he would allow give me the 10 days in November.
The 10 days in November
would be at the official end of the lease.
When does the lease end now?
11/10/22. I'm sorry. It started 11/10/20.
Yeah, it ends 11/10.
So it ends at the end of November. I mean, at the 10th of November?
Yes. The 10th of November. And
so the lease already ends.
What's that?
The lease already ends November 10th.
Yeah.
So what are you asking?
Well, he's saying that I would be paid up until November 1st, and then I would still owe for the 10 days in November. If he would allow me to stay until November 10th, then I would accept that.
So you want a waiver of the 10 days, 1/3 of a month's rent, basically.
Right.
May I? Sure. I think what I'm hearing, and I asked my client, some of these leases, even though the last 10 days, you still have to pay a full month's rent because that's not the case here. You would only have to pay 10 days worth of rent. So I think I actually brought a conditional dismissal, which I had Ms. Brownlick sign. And what it says is that SOS to pay $3,000 by October 31st upon receipt of $3,000. Plaintiff shall waive remaining $997, meaning that defendant's rent will be paid in full through October 31st. Counterclaim dismissed with prejudice. So I think if I cross off October 31st and I write in that he will be paid through November 10th, and then I put another line in that says defendant must vacate the property by November 10th and make those two changes and initial them, I think I'm now, and my clients approved this. We're not saying he's going to get a security deposit back because, of course, we haven't done the walkthrough to see the damages, but he will owe no rent as long as he's out by November 10th. So I think I'm giving you what you want.
I don't believe it's fair, but I would agree. Because
what don't you believe is fair about this?
I said a few times, so I don't think that you understand the amount.
No, I understand. If you'd articulate it to me, I'm pretty good at understanding things. You keep saying it's unfair. They're giving 1/4 of the rent in plus more now, and you think that that's not fair. So my only other option is to set it for trial, which the problem for you, sir, so that you understand, I'll set it for trial. If they sustain their claim and your counterclaims don't get anything, you're going to end up owing the 4,000 plus whatever. I mean, I don't get what's unfair about this.
I said I would agree to that, but I would need a letter saying, that's fine, I'm agreeing to it. But I would need a letter saying that all my bills from obligations to YC Asset Management were paid in full.
He can get a copy of this, which is, I think, pretty close to what it says.
I need that to show, when I go and try to rent a place.
I got it. And what you'll see is that once the conditional order of dismissal is there, that's going to be as good as showing that everything to them is paid.
When I go and apply for a place,
I understand.
I give the reference for the landlord where I was, I have to. And if they ever call them, he's not happy with me, so he's gonna,
I'll talk.
He's not happy with you, but can you put in there, landlord will give a neutral reference?
Sure.
All right, then we got it.
Okay. So I'm going to make 3 changes. I want to talk this through before I write on this document. I'm going to change October 31st to November 10th.
Okay.
Number 2, I'm going to put a line in that says defendant must vacate property by on or before November 10th.
Okay.
And I'm going to say plaintiff to give defendant a neutral landlord reference.
Okay.
With those 3 changes, will you then sign?
And can I get something in writing, from them saying that I paid all my bills?
You're going to get this, which I think is probably what you want, because he's not going to lie. And a neutral, I mean, he's not going to tell them, oh, you paid your rent every month. This will show that you have no balance. That's the best you're going to get.
But this also shows that there was a court proceeding.
Well, they're going to know that anyway. They're going to go online and see that there's a court proceeding online. There's nothing, you can't undo that. He's going to give you a neutral reference. Means if he can't say something good, he's not going to say anything at all. That's the best you're going to get. And that's a lot better than having a trial which has a judgment against you, because then all their judgments are just going to pop up.
Okay.
If I make those changes, will you sign this?
Yeah.
Okay, what this says now, and actually I'm going to put, above in line 2 where it says through the time period ending, right now it says October 31st. I'm going to change that to 11/10 also, because he will now be paid through the period ending November 10th. So what this says, Mr. McNulty, and I've initialed this, is SOS to pay $3,000 by October 31st. Upon receipt of the $3,000, plaintiff shall waive the remaining $997, meaning that defendant's rent will be paid in full through 11/10/23. Counterclaim dismissed with prejudice. Defendant to vacate premises by November 10th, 2023. Plaintiff to give defendant a neutral landlord reference. And I'm going to ask you to sign right here. I should ask him to initial the paragraphs where I made the change also. So, Mr. McNulty, would you initial right here, please, and right here, where I made the handwritten changes, please? And then down there.
I have before me the conditional order of dismissal. So you have any other questions regarding this? Got a no?
No.
I will advise you this is a consent judgment or consent order. You do have 3 business days to think about it. If in those 3 days you have some legal confusion or some legal right you did not believe that you asserted, you would have to file a motion with the court within that time frame. I will, however, indicate to you, you can file the motion. That doesn't mean that I would set the consent.
How long is that?
You have 3 business days to do that. But you can file that motion, but I'm going to tell you, it doesn't mean that I will set it aside.
Yeah.
You understand that? All right. Thank you.
May I say something?
if you must.
No, we're good.
Thank you.